Hey guys, it's Hoagie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something that I know we've all experienced, something that's very common for trans people to experience, and that is invalidation of our gender identity. It could be from a cis person or a trans person, someone who just doesn't understand what you're going through or who you are and feels the need to tell you that you aren't who you say you are. And that can be really hurtful. Because last week I got some comments to that in that vein concerning my content, and I just wanted to address it. I just wanted to talk about what I do when I encounter something like that, when I'm invalidated, whether I know that it's like valid or not. I know who I am, and I know, that I'm a man. I know that about myself, but sometimes it still hurts when you hear someone say, you'll never be a real man, or you're not the person you say you are. Like, it hurts, even if you know that it's not true. So I want to go over a couple of things that I do when I feel invalid, when I feel like someone has tried to invalidate me, and I just need to pick me up, and I need to reassure myself that I am who I am in my heart. So let's get started. One thing someone can do when they're feeling invalid is to remember why they feel the way that they do about their gender. Why do you identify as trans or non-binary? What were the reasons? What made you realize? What was the epiphany that you had? Remember those times and remember how you felt during that time, and remember the thoughts that you had. Maybe write them down. Write down, these are all the reasons why I know I'm not cis, or these are all the reasons why I know I'm trans. The things that have given you gender euphoria, the things that have given you gender dysphoria. Write those things down or make a list in your head and really focus on knowing that those experiences were real, that those feelings were real, and that they mean something. Another thing you can do is to do something that makes you feel gender euphoric, whether that's putting on clothes or doing your makeup or doing your hair or listening or watching to something validating, anything that really gets you into your gender and makes you feel like, yes, this is me, this is who I really am, can be so relieving. Another thing, and something I encourage everyone to do, is to reach out to the community, whether that be the queer community as a whole or specifically the trans community. There are so many people like you. There are so many people who can empathize with you, who can validate you for how you're feeling. And sometimes communities can be a little gatekeepy, so you might want to shop around and try to find a community that's accepting, but know that they are out there and people will love you and people will help you feel confident in who you are. The big thing I want to emphasize in this video is that you are not alone. You are not the only trans person who feels the way you do. You are not wrong or invalid for feeling the way that you do as a trans person. You have to understand that you don't have to have dysphoria to be trans. You don't have to want surgery or hormones to be trans. In my opinion, all you need is gender euphoria. Knowing that you feel better presenting as being, asking to be called something other than the gender that you were assigned at birth. Anything other than that is optional. If you feel better as a woman than you do as a man, then you're a woman. If you feel better outside of the binary than you ever did inside the binary, then that's who you are. That's a part of you. That's not something to just say, oh, that doesn't mean anything. It means something. Your feelings mean so much to your identity. And I know a lot of people define their dysphoria, define being trans as pain, and it's not necessary to be in pain to be trans. You can be euphoric in who you were meant to be and know that that is enough to be trans. People who comment these things, people who say these things to you, especially trans people who invalidate you, are coming from a place of pain. They're dealing with their dysphoria, they're dealing with their anxiety and their depression, and it hurts them. And they don't understand how someone could not feel the way that they feel and be trans. And that doesn't make their pain less valid or less important, because they're really going through it and they need to be able to access the care that they need in order to alleviate their dysphoria. But that doesn't mean that being trans equals being in pain. That doesn't mean that your identity is contingent on whether or not you cry yourself to sleep at night. It has nothing to do with that. You don't have to want all the surgery or any of the surgery. If you don't specifically want top surgery or specifically bottom surgery, if you want to go on just a low level of hormones until you get the desired effect, that doesn't mean that you aren't valid as a trans person. You know who you are in your mind, and no one can tell you, no, you're not really that. You're going to regret that. Like I know you say that you know who you are, but in fact, I know that you are wrong about yourself. Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Of course you know who you are. And anyone who says that you don't, just know that they're coming from a place of pain. I want to leave you with this idea. 50, 40, 30 years ago, being gay was not something that you really wanted to be. It was oppressive. It could hurt you. It could kill you to express yourself the way that you are. And that doesn't mean that gay people shouldn't have pride in who they are. That doesn't mean that they don't deserve to be happy. And if they're not unhappy all the time, that doesn't mean that they're not gay, you know? So your sexual identity has nothing to do with whether you're in pain or not, and neither does your gender identity. You can be a happy trans person. Being trans can be a joyous experience, just like being queer can be a joyous experience, even though there's a lot of oppression, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of things that could really hurt you if you express yourself the way that you really are. That doesn't mean that you should hide that, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be proud and happy in who you really are. That's just something you got to keep in mind. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please consider liking and subscribing. I put out new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, and I will see you guys next time. Mwah.